So dapat na oras magsa-start tayo. Anyways, welcome to the final reinforcement in Immunosero. So, ang covered lang po natin na topics. Okay, we will only cover topics po ngayong final term. So, from transplantation hanggang immunodeficiencies. However, hindi ko na in-include dito yung HIV na topic. Okay, so hanggang discussion lang tayo ng primary immunodeficiencies. Okay? However, included pa rin po yan sa inyong lecture exam, yung HIV. Okay, laboratory diagnosis of HIV is still, again, included in the final exam. It is not just included here kasi medyo mahaba na po yung magiging discussion natin if in-include ko pa siya dito. Okay? So, starting with transplantation immunology. Na bakit ba natin kailangan aralin si transplantation? And ano yung immunological aspect dito? Of course, napakalaki ng immunological aspect in transplantation. Okay? Now, even though we have successfully enabled people to survive, to survive infections, any infections, ang problem natin is with transplantation naman. Kahit tinutulungan tayo, maganda ang purpose ng immune system natin. The problem with transplantation is mahirap maghanap ng tissue or organ donors because of these histocompatibility systems. Okay? Itong histocompatibility systems, they include antigens. Antigens na kailangan po natin malaman, ma-identify in order to know kung ano yung um, tissue or ano yung magmamatch kay patient na organ donors. Okay? So meron tayong 5 histocompatibility systems. We have number 1, the major histocompatibility system or MHC. Ito yung diniscuss ko sa inyo nung midterms. Sana naalala pa natin si MHC. Medyo, alam kong medyo complicated yung topic ng MHC. But I hope that you understand bakit natin kailangan aralin ng MHC and para saan siya. Very important po ito in transplantation immunology. And aside from that, important din po yan sa paglaban natin against infections. Okay? But take note that MHC is inherited as haplotypes. Ibig sabihin, isa nakukuha natin kay mommy, isa manggagaling sa daddy. Okay? And you have actually 3 MHC classes. Diba? Meron tayong tatlo. Meron tayong class 1 and class 2. But in this case, in the context of transplantation, hindi po important si class 3. Ang important lang ay si class 1 and si class 2. Etong dalawa kasi na to ay makikita nyo sa surface ng mga cells. Si class 3, this is only found in your serum. So hindi yan important in tissue or organ transplantation. Okay, so focus kayo kay class 1 and class 2. Okay, so sana naalala pa natin si MHC ha, kasi in your final exam, makakover din po yung mga midterm topics. So, kailangan, meron na kayong, alam nyo na yung basic concepts ng immunology. Okay? And MHC, again, is the strongest immunological barrier to successful allogenic organ and hematopoietic transplantation. So very important na kung gusto natin na si patient and oops, yung mga magjo-join po, please turn off your microphones. Okay, ang sabi ko. Okay, now very important na si patient and si donor ay almost completely matched ng MHC. Okay, to ensure na si patient or si recipient ay hindi magkakaroon sa kanya, sa loob ng katawan niya, ng transplant rejection. That's very important. So tandaan nyo, siya yung MHC is very important. Yung mga didiscuss natin later on na mga tests to ensure na compatible si patient at donor is more on discussing paano natin ina-identify itong mga MHC or tawagin na lang din natin siyang HLA. Okay, yung mga HLA antigens, yun yung mga i-identify nyo doon sa mga tests na pino-perform po natin. Again, to make sure na compatible si patient and si donor. Okay, kasi for example, si class 1, 'di ba? Meron tayong different at kung tinutukoy kasi dito, the class 1 and class 2, mainly we are referring to the genes. Okay, meron tayong class 1 and class 2 genes. And itong mga class 1 and class 2 genes, they will encode for specific antigens or specific molecules. So meron tayong tinatawag na HLA-A, HLA-B, HLA-C. Those are class 1 molecules. And then we have class 2, we have the HLA-DP, DQ-DR, di ba? In actually later na yan, but in histocompatibility testing, ang hinahanap po natin is yung mga molecules na yun, yung mga antigens na yun. Okay? Anong HLA-A meron si patient? Anong HLA-B ang meron si patient? And HLA-C, DP, DQ, DR. Those are very important. And dapat si patient and si donor ay almost similar sila ng mga HLA molecules na yun. Okay? So when I say HLA molecules, I am pertaining to HLA antigens. Iisa lang po sila. Okay? In this context, iisa lang sila. Next, number 2, minor histocompatibility antigens. Ito ay mga non-HLA proteins. Okay? However, relevant pa din yan in histocompatibility testing. Okay? There are certain instances na, for example, completely match naman sila ng MHC. Completely match ng HLA, si patient and si donor. However, since meron tayong mga minor histocompatibility antigens, which are not routinely detected, nagkakaroon pa rin po tayo ng transplant rejection. And that is because ito nga pong minor histocompatibility antigens are existing. Okay, they are present on the surface of our tissues. So ayan, so pwede rin po natin sisihin si minor HAs if there is transplant rejections. Okay? We have MICA antigens. Huwag nyo na masyadong isipin si MICA antigens is our non-classical MHC antigens. So skip na natin siya. We have ABO blood group antigens. This is the only blood group system that significantly impacts clinical or solid organ transplantation. Also very important yan, syempre, sa blood transfusion. Oh yeah, kasi for example, yung mga tissues nyo, like kidneys, liver, any organs na pwede natin i-transfuse, may mga lamang blood vessels yan. Okay? And syempre, may laman dugo yung blood vessel nyo. So very important na compatible din pagdating sa ABO, ang patient and si donor. And actually, ABO blood group incompatibility is very rare na may encounter nyo po in laboratory setting. Kasi napakarami na po nating test na madaling i-perform para masabi natin na compatible si patient and donor pagdating sa ABO. Okay, madali na pong ma-detect yan. Blood typing pa nga lang, di ba, alam nyo na kung paano gawin yan. So pagdating nyo ng second year, sorry, not second year, second semester, aaralin nyo po yung mga tests na ginagamit natin to make sure na compatible pagdating sa ABO. Okay? And then lastly, cures. Ang kailangan nyo lang tandaan kay cures ay cures are found on natural killer cells. Kaya nga po ang pangalan niyan ay killer immunoglobulin-like receptors. Okay? These are again found on natural killer cells and they interact with MHC class 1. Okay? So, kailangan, uh, diniscuss yan doon sa chapter 2 ng innate immunity. Ay paano po nag-work ang natural killer cells? How does it contribute sa immune system po natin? Paano ang immune response ng NK cells? Diba? Natural killer cells are, take note, part of the innate immunity. Diba? They are part of the innate immunity. Na kailangan nyo balikan paano siya naging part ng innate immunity and how does it work? How do they work? Okay? So tandaan niyo yan that they are or they interact with class 1 MHC molecules. Okay? May mga receptors kasi yung si natural killer cells. Okay? May mga receptors yan. Which hindi ko na siya dadaanan ngayon kasi hahaba yung lecture natin. Next, direct allorecognition versus indirect allorecognition. So, ang pinagkaiba lang naman itong dalawang to is that si indirect, okay, medyo mas matagal or kasi meron siyang additional na step. Kaya medyo matagal yung recognition. Okay, but si direct allorecognition, mas mabilis lang siya ng konti kasi na-skip niya yung part na yun. Now, ano yung part na tinutukoy natin? First is direct allorecognition is where the recipient's T cells directly bind to the donor HLA molecules. Now, medyo parang pinapahirapan pa ba tayo nito? At tandaan niyo lang dyan, the patient lymphocytes will directly bind to the donor HLA antigens on the donor antigen presenting cells. So directly na si patient ay marirecognize si donor. Ganun lang yan. And primarily, ang involved dito na recipient T cells is your cytotoxic T cells. Among the two, si cytotoxic T cells ang involved dito sa direct allorecognition. Okay? Kaya kapag may narinig kayong acute transplant rejection, isipin nyo agad direct allorecognition yan. Okay? Kasi not instant, but mabilis, quicker yung recognition compared mo with indirect allorecognition. Kapag indirect allorecognition, may isa pang step. And what is that step? Okay, una muna, the antigen presenting cells. Okay? The antigen presenting cells of the patient. Okay, tandaan ha, antigen presenting cells of the recipient or the patient is ipaprocess niya muna si donor antigens. Okay. Actually, zoom in ko siya dito. I'm not sure. Malinaw naman siya. Itong color violet sa baba, this is an antigen presenting cell. Okay, it could be a macrophage, a monocyte, a dendritic cell. Basta kay patient po itong violet na to. Ang gagawin niyan, kakainin niya yung mga peptides galing doon sa tissue, galing sa organ ng donor nyo. And then ipaprocess niya yan, ida-digest niya, liliit sila, okay, magiging maliliit na peptides, and then i-represent nila kay, most likely, kay helper T cell po ito. Okay, most likely this is the helper T cell. Helper T cell of the patient, of course. So nakikita nyo kung nasaan yung extra step. Ang extra step is nanggagaling doon kay antigen presenting cell that has digested or that has processed the peptides from the graft tissue. Okay, yun yung extra step natin. Kay direct allorecognition, walang ganyan. Walang processing na naganap na may kakainin pa siya, for example. Okay, tapos ipapaliitin niya pa yun. But in indirect allorecognition, ayan, yan yung extra step. That's why si indirect allorecognition po is the pathway that is important in chronic rejection. Okay, so kapag si direct, acute rejection. Kapag indirect, chronic rejection. Okay? So because of that extra step, medyo matagal natin no observe yung tissue damage. It takes more than 3 months pa kapag sa chronic rejection. Okay, so I hope na nasundan po natin si direct versus indirect allorecognition. Okay, tandaan nyo kung anong type ng transplant rejection ang typically associated sa bawat type ng allorecognition. Okay, now let's proceed with the types of transplant rejection. Ito po ay nanggaling lang din sa libro nyo. Okay, may table kayo sa dulo ng chapter ng transplantation regarding the types of transplant rejection, the time of tissue damage, and the predominant immunological mechanism. So meron tayo actually na 4 main types. We have hyperacute, we have accelerated, na hindi ko na nilagay dito, acute, and then chronic. Graft versus host is a different type of transplant rejection than the other 4. Okay? So, explain natin yan later on. So, meron tayong hyperacute. Okay? The first one. Hyperacute, tandaan nyo sa kanya yung time of tissue damage. Since ang pangalan niya nga ay hyperacute, the tissue damage happens within minutes. Usually, makikita pa yan habang tinatahi yung organ or habang undergoing surgery pa yung pasyente. So, sobrang bilis ng reaction. And the reason is, the patient has, tandaan ito, pre-formed or pre-existing antibodies. Meron na sa katawan niyang mga antibodies that will react with the donor antigens. Okay? Saan ang galing yung mga pre-formed antibodies na yan? Usually, guys, itong usually caused by, for example, ABO antibodies. Okay? Katawan mo kasi meron na yung mga ABO antibodies. For example, if you're blood type A, you will automatically be producing anti-B. That is an example of a preformed antibody. Okay? Again, kapag blood type A ka, automatically sa dugo mo meron ka ng anti-B. Tapos sinalinan yung pasyente ng B na dugo. That will cause hyperacute rejection. Okay? However, itong hyperacute, fortunately, bihira na itong mangyari. Kasi nga po, we have systems or tests na ginagawa sa laboratory that can detect these antibodies. Kaya bihira ka makakakita ng hyperacute rejection. Okay? So ano ba nangyayari kapag may hyperacute rejection? Burahin ko lang itong binilugan ko. So in hyperacute rejection, the antibodies will bind to the donor endothelium. Okay? When you say donor endothelium, yung mga blood vessels yan. Doon sa organ ni donor. So kakabit doon yung mga patient antibodies. And then, of course, if there is antibody-antigen binding, automatic yan ha. Kapag nakita nyo may antibody-antigen binding, automatic the activation of the complement system will proceed. Okay, mangyayari yan, hindi yan mawawala. Pag automatic, pag narinig ko, antibody-antigen binding, or just immune complex, meron niyang complement activation. And when the complement is activated, the cell will undergo lysis. Masisira po yung cells natin. Okay, kung saan nang kumabit niya si antibody. And if the cells are lysed, they will be damaged, mag-release yan ng mga substances. Okay? Release yan ng substances in which tatawagin si platelets. Si platelets kasi, ang gusto niyan palagi, for example, kayo pag nasugatan kayo, di ba ang bilis gumaling na sugat nyo? That is because of platelets. Okay? Now imagine if sa loob ng katawan nyo, maraming tissues ang nasisira, maraming blood vessels ang nasisira ng sabay-sabay. Siyempre, si platelet ay ma-activate yan. And then, since si platelets gusto niya i-try na i-heal yung mga sugat na yan, yung damage na yan, magpapatong-patong sila. And ultimately, yung mga platelets, even though maganda ang purpose nila, they will start blocking your blood vessels. Okay, babara yan sa blood vessels mo, tinatawag natin yung thrombosis. And then, if there is blockage, if there is thrombosis sa blood vessel, it will lead to ischemia. Ischemia of the organ transplanted or organ na binigay ni donor. Okay? Kasi kung may blockage, hindi makakadaan ng maayos yung dugo, and then that will lead to graft necrosis. The organ is not receiving blood supply. The organ will then also not receive oxygen supply, leading to the death of the organ. Okay? So sa hyperacute, ma-observe mo yan within minutes. Okay, within minutes, makita mo nag-undergo na agad ng necrosis yung tissue. Okay, so tandaan niyo yung mga nangyayari during hyperacute. Ayan, tandaan niyo si thrombosis. Thrombosis and then ischemia. Magkakasunod na yan. Next, acute naman. So acute, medyo matagal lang ng konti. It will take days to months. Pero mabilis din yan in a span. For example, para kakatransplant mo lang last week o baka next week meron na agad organ rejection or transplant rejection. So there are two main mechanisms in acute rejection. So we have cell-mediated and antibody-mediated. But yung predominant sa kanila is the cell-mediated. Okay, the cell-mediated form of acute rejection. So tandaan nyo na lang dito na of course kapag cell-mediated yan, the problem is sina T cells. Okay, sina CD4 and CD8 positive T cells. Magkaiba lang sila syempre ng mode of action, but they will lead to the same results. Okay, acute transplant rejection. And there's also sometimes involvement of antibodies. Okay, so i-highlight natin dito si vascular injury. Okay, highlight natin dyan si vascular injury and inflammation. Yun yung importance sa kanya, vascular injury. Hindi naman agad-agad na necrosis, okay? Or thrombosis and then necrosis. So there is vascular injury muna. Next, chronic. So this one, ito yung medyo matagal pa. This will take longer than 3 months. Okay, longer than 3 months. And Since chronic nga yan, mainly, nabanggit na natin kanina, this is due to indirect allorecognition. So T-cell or cell-mediated pa rin ito. Okay, cell-mediated pa rin ito. So the delayed type response. And ang tandaan nyo dito is ano yung nangyayari. Okay, nangyayari din sa tissue. So there is, I think ito na lang tandaan nyo dyan, fibrosis. Okay, fibrosis. Since chronic nga siya, delayed siya, slow yung progression ng tissue injury or ng tissue damage, slow progression, the tissue tries to heal itself. Okay, during that slow progress of tissue damage, the organ will try to heal itself. Pero magiging unsuccessful yun kasi continuously na merong immune response against the organ. So habang tinatry niya magpagaling, okay, gumawa ng panibagong tissue, nasisira yun ang nasisira, leading to scarring. Okay, nagkakaroon ng scarring. Or we call that, of course, fibrosis. Okay? So sana nasundan po natin yun ha. Pag sinabi natin chronic, there is slow progressive tissue injury that will ultimately lead to fibrosis of the tissue. Okay? And usually kasi pag mga fibrotic na tissue, yun yung parang matigas. Okay? Parang isipin nyo kapag kayo ay may peklat, yan, parang ganun ang fibrosis. And then lastly, okay, last po ito si graft versus host disease. This is different from the first four types of transplant rejection. Kapag sinabi natin graft versus host, this is different in a sense na si donor ang umaatake or ang nagkukos ng issue kay patients. Yung mga previous types of transplant rejections, ang problem dito is the recipient or the patient attacks the grafted tissue. In graft versus host, baliktad. Si donor ang umaatake kay recipient. Kaya ang pangalan niyan ay graft versus host. Okay? And this usually happens if yung binigay mo na organ, the type of organ or tissue that you gave the patient is a stem cell or a bone marrow transplant. Okay? Kasi the bone marrow and of course yung stem cell transplant is rich in lymphocytes. Okay, yun yung nagiging problem natin, yung mga lymphocytes, yung T cells and B cells. Okay? Another is, this will develop if the patient is immunocompromised. Yun yung issue dito. Okay? In graft versus host, and graft versus host typically happens if the patient is immunosuppressed or immunocompromised. Okay? Kasi si donor cells, si donor lymphocytes, inaatake niya yung mga immunosuppressed, yung immunosuppressed na katawan ng pasyente. Okay? And nagbibigay nga kasi tayo ng bone marrow transplant kapag yung pasyente ay immunocompromised. For example, cancer patient siya, di ba? Or basta meron siyang leukemia. Yeah, basta may cancer, may leukemia, whatever. The patient will, of course, become immunocompromised. And minsan, kinakailangan talaga nila ng bone marrow or stem cell transplant. And uh, pag binigyan mo sila nun, there is always a risk of graft versus host to develop. Pag-aaralan nyo ulit yan next semester sa blood bank. Dadaanan nyo si graft versus host disease that can also happen during blood transfusion. Okay? And GVHD takes 100 days or longer. Okay? Matagal yan nangyayari or matagal siya nagde-develop sa pasyente. Tandaan niyo sa kanya, graft versus host, typically, kailangan natin, isa sa mga criteria natin for GVHD to happen is immunocompromised dapat si host and the patient, immunocompromised si host and the donor is immunocompetent. Okay? Immunocompetent ang donor, immunocompromised ang pasyente. Okay? This leads to multi-organ tissue damage. Right? Primarily, ang nasisira dyan yung mga mucosal membranes. Okay, makakita ka dyan ng diarrhea kasi ang intestines nyo gawa sa mucosal membranes. Okay, so tandaan yung mga types ng transplant rejection. Ito yung medyo masakit sa ulo, yung histocompatibility testing. Kasi wala naman tayong laboratory activity sa topic na to. And hindi naman tayo qualified to perform HLA testing. Diba? Una muna, we have HLA typing. When you say HLA typing, we are looking to identify the HLA antigens. Yung binanggit ko sa inyo kanina, alamin nyo kung anong HLA-A, B, C, DP, DQ, DR ang meron si pasyente. Okay, take note that your MHC is polymorphic. Napakarami nating combinations of HLA, millions of combinations of HLA. Kaya ang hirap maghanap ng organ transplant. Di ba? Kaya ang goal natin is not to look for a perfect 100% match. Ang goal natin in HLA typing or in clinical histocompatibility testing is as close as possible. Okay? Na hindi magkukos yan na any immune response. Okay? Mahirap talaga maghanap. Kahit nga magkapatid kayo or magkambal kayo, ay magkambal, mas madali. Okay? But pag magkapatid, medyo meron pang konting differences yan. Okay? So again, tandaan nyo ha, in HLA typing, we are looking for the antigens, okay, on the surface of the lymphocytes. So we have two types. We have two types or two methods of HLA typing. We have the phenotyping, which is classical, traditional method of HLA typing. Hindi na yan masyadong ginagawa ngayon because meron na tayong mas sensitive or mas specific pa na test, which is HLA genotyping. Okay? Ang tandaan nyo lang kay HLA genotyping, molecular method based yan. Okay, mga molecular based method, or procedures. Basta pag narinig nyo si PCR, automatic po itong genotyping. Okay, genotyping yan agad. Ang ina-identify nyo na dito is not only the antigens, but the alleles na. Okay? Yung alleles, guys, gusto ko sana siyang daanan ngayon, pero merong example niya sa book nyo. For example, since it is a haplotype, marireceive mo sa uh, parents mo is isang HLA. For example, isang HLA-3, HLA-3, and then isang HLA-5. Okay? And then, HLA B6, B7, HLA C2, C5. So, yan yung mga possible na alleles na meron ka. Actually, gusto ko siya i-discuss but we don't have time. But yun yung ina-identify natin by the specific alleles. Now, in HLA phenotyping, which is yung traditional na procedure nga po natin, it is based on, tandaan nyo to ha, complement-dependent cytotoxicity. This is the traditional method of identifying HLA antigens on the surface. Tandaan, phenotyping lang po ito. So, hindi involved dito yung identification ng mga specific alleles. Okay? Yan. So, ang tinetest natin dito, tandaan nyo po, ay lymphocyte. Lymphocyte ni both patient and the donor. Both their lymphocytes against a known anti-HLA anti-sera. That is your reagent. And then, ito important to ha. Tandaan nyo po ito. Since meron tayong dalawang classes na HLA or MHC, we have to use the lymphocytes. You have to use B cells and T cells. Okay? Yun yung gagamitin nyo nga again to identify kung anong HLA antigens ang meron yung pasyente or si donor. Example, B cells. B cells po, tandaan nyo ha, ginagamit po natin ito to identify both the class 1 and class 2 HLAs. Kanan yan. So, pwede mo ma-identify sa B cells si HLA-B, HLA-A, B, C, DP, DQ, DR. Kaya natin yan ma-identify sa B lymphocytes lang. Kay T cells naman, pwede rin natin siya gamitin. Si T cells, ang gagamitin nyo lang ito to identify the HLA A, B, or C. Okay? Now, bakit po si B cell? Bakit B cell ay pwede nating makitaan or pwede nating ma-identify sa kanila si class 1 and si class 2. Nababalikan nyo na naman yung understanding nyo dapat ng HLAs or ng MHC. Tandaan nyo ha, si class 2 ay makikita po natin ito sa lahat, class 1 muna pala, class 1. Si class 1 ay makikita po natin ito sa lahat ng cells na merong nucleus. All nucleated cells, merong class 1. So that includes, of course, your lymphocytes since they have a nucleus. Si class 2 molecule naman ay makikita lang natin sa mga special cells na tinatawag nating antigen-presenting cells. And that includes only a number of cells. Mabibilang mo lang yan sa kamay mo. So meron tayong monocytes, macrophages, dendritic cells, and B cells. Okay? Si B cells lang po among the two lymphocytes na meron tayo, siya lang ang merong class 2. So, hindi mo pwede gamitin si T cells for class 1. Sorry, for class 2 typing. My bad. Class 2 typing. Only B cells. Next is tapos na tayo sa antigen identification. Okay, mga HLA, antigen identification. Now, we'll proceed with HLA antibody screening and identification. Now, titest na natin dito, typically yung serum ng pasyente. Okay? Yung serum ng patient, meron ba siyang mga antibodies against specific HLA antigens? Okay, meron ba siyang anti-HLA A1? Meron ba siyang anti-HLA B2? So, malalaman natin yan dito. And same with the CDC method na ginagamit nyo po sa HLA phenotyping, meron din po tayong CDC method na pwede nyong i-apply kay antibody. Okay, kay antibody screening and identification. It uses the same concept. At syempre, magkaiba ng reagent yan. Okay? Magkaiba lang naman ng reagent. Next, we have flow cytometry. Flow cytometry is the most sensitive and specific method. So in looking for HLA antibodies, we typically use nowadays flow cytometry, okay, or mga solid phase assays that may include sina ELISA, for example, but not commonly used. Okay? And then lastly, itong cross-matching. Okay? Ito yung pinaka gusto kong tandaan nyo. When you say cross-matching, ginagamit po natin ito to look for donor-specific antibodies right before transplants. Okay, bago po natin ibigay talaga kay patient yung organ. So next semester, madadaanan nyo rin ito sa blood bank kasi cross-matching is a very important part of blood transfusion. Ito yung last step po talaga na ginagawa bago ibigay kay nurse yung dugo. Ayan, si nurse kasi yung kumukuha ng dugo sa blood bank. And then, sila yung magtatransfuse ng dugo. So, bago yun ibigay kay nurse, kailangan compatible sila. Kailangan compatible muna si patient and si donor. Now, ano yung kailangan yung specimen dito? Okay? Kasi yung specimen na to, ang specimen na gagamitin nyo dito is specimen both ng patient and ng donor. Now, alamin nyo na lang kung ano yung kailangan nating specific component noong or doon sa kanilang sample. So, ang kakailanganin nyo sa donor ay yung dugo nila, which contains, of course, the lymphocytes. Okay, yun yung mahalaga dyan. Kailangan nyo ng donor lymphocytes, and then, yung recipient's serum. Okay, kuhanin natin, dugo rin ng pasyente, but ang kailangan lang natin na component is the serum. Okay, titingnan lang natin if compatible sila. If there is cell death, okay, cell death nung lymphocyte ng donor, that means incompatible. But syempre, kung walang cell death yan, buhay yung mga cells after mixing the two specimens, compatible. Pwede na po nating ibigay yung organ kay patients. Okay, there's minimal damage to sa tissue if ever. Okay? So I hope na naintindihan nyo yan. Gusto ko sana nakakasunod lahat, but I cannot, of course, ask each of you. Now, magagaranti natin na nasundan nyo talaga ako by answering this question. So before we proceed, alam ko namang nakita nyo na, we will give an incentive to those who gets the answer correctly. Okay, yung una. Paunahan po ito ha. But since nakita nyo na yung mga tanong ahead of me, ahead of changing the slide, i-accept ko lang yung mga answer nyo once na nalipat ko na. Okay, i-accept ko lang as correct once na nalipat ko na yung slide. So, i-type nyo lang kung anong number and then the letter of your answer. So, kunwari, number 1, ang sagot nyo is D. So, type nyo lang dyan, 1D. Then, paunahan yan. So, sino po yung una makakasagot, siya yung merong 1 point. So, ibibigay namin yan sa respective faculty in charge sa section nyo. Okay? So, sana masagot po natin, ha? Sayang yung 1 point eh. Sayang kung makakasagot kayo ng maraming beses, edi mas maganda. Okay? Pero mag-establish na lang ako ng maximum para fair din sa lahat. Sige, question number 1. Which of the following has the maximum transplantation success rate? Pakilagay po yung number ha para alam ko kung anong item na yung sinasagutan natin. Okay, Miss Manrique. Ayan. So your answer is letter A. Uh, I would like to ask for help po sa ating moderators. Ayan, thank you Ma'am Camille. Ayan. So, saan po yung iba mag-try mag-participate ha? Siguro matataas na yung mga scores nila sa mga exams, kaya ayaw na nila ng additional points. So this is free for all. Please mag-participate kayo lahat. Okay? Sige. Question number 2. Kahit 1A, 2A, na gano'n na lang. Huwag na ilagay yung quest para mas mabilis mag-type. Okay, phenotyping for HLA class 2 antigens requires B lymphocytes because okay, so ang sagot natin dito is yes po, B lymphocytes express HLA class 2 antigens. Very good. Ano una si Luzon? Luzon, Edmond. Yan, madami sila. Next, number 3. The indirect allorecognition pathway involves which one of the following mechanisms? Okay, so sino ang una? Okay, answer natin dito is yes, very good. It's letter A. Processed peptides from polymorphic donor proteins restricted by class 2. So primarily class 2 nga pong involved dito. So mga helper T cells ang nakaka-recognize. So nauna ay yes, ibasa. Question number 4. Medyo mahaba. Okay, naisagot na sila. Basahin ko lang ha. Mottled cyanotic fails to produce urine, so may renal failure na. Surgical team suspects hyperacute. So ayan ha, pag nakita niyo po yung word na hyperacute or anything na related kay hyperacute, the problem is preformed antibodies. Very good. So Centeno, very good. Centeno letter B. Number 5, which pathway plays a major role in chronic rejection? Pabilisan to ng internet. Major role in chronic rejection po, sabi natin ha, indirect allorecognition. So, letter B, since, sorry, that's not letter B po. Dapat indirect, ma'am. Letter A is the correct answer. And balik tayo kay ano, may 2 points na si Manrique. Kasi, supposed to be, it's letter A po. Ayan. Indirect allorecognition. And I think that's, sorry, meron pa isa. Number 6. Number 6, which test is used to detect donor-specific antibodies? Yes, the answer is CDC cross-match. Tandaan, pwedeng gamitin for both antigen and antibodies. Letter A, CDC cross-match. So, sinauna, Garcia. Ayan, Garcia. Okay, bibilis sumagot ah. Okay, next na tayo. Number 7. Sorry, not number 7, but next topic. Oh, sorry, bumagsak yung phone. Okay, next, tumor immunology. Next, ayan, next slide. So tumor immunology studies how the immune system interacts with cancer cells, how it recognizes tumors, how tumors evade immunity, and how immunity can be used therapeutically. So actually, halos lahat ng yan, dadaanan po natin, but very short discussion lang. So first is normal cells are usually tightly regulated. Okay, if you are normal, you are healthy, ang cell division po is controlled. The growth inhibition is also controlled. So when enough cells are present, stop na po dapat. And these cells, when they grow old or when they are damaged, they will undergo apoptosis. They will undergo programmed cell death. Diba? Now, if they become uncontrolled, the growth is uncontrolled, the division of the cells are uncontrolled, hindi nangyayari yung apoptosis even though they are damaged, it will lead to formation of tumors. Pwede na rin natin tawagin yan na neoplasm. So pag narinig nyo tumors, hindi po ibig sabihin agad nito ay problematic agad or ibig sabihin malignant siya agad. Okay? There are tumors na considered as benign. Okay? So, in picture dito, ayan. So, this picture is ito yung itsura ng normal cells, pero may mga cancer cells in this one. Okay? Because of, again, hindi po nasunod yung normal or regulated processes. Okay? Ano ba yung, or actually, dapat ito muna. Oh, never mind, mamaya na yan. Unahan muna natin yung two types ng tumors. So we have benign and malignant tumors. Anong pinagkaiba ng benign sa malignant? Sinabi natin benign, they are slow growing. They are well differentiated. Well differentiated means that the tissues or the cells that are growing uncontrolled are still similar to normal tissue. Tandaan, pag sinabi yung well differentiated, ha, they are still similar in appearance to normal tissue. Pag tinignan nyo yan under the microscope, okay, they resemble healthy and normal cells. They're also encapsulated as seen in this picture. Ayan, benign tumor yan, maraming cells, pero they are encapsulated. How important yan. And then, the last is they do not invade or metastasize. Meaning, is they don't invade other organs. For example, meron kang growth sa iyong ovaries. Okay? Merong tissue growth sa ovaries mo, meron kang mga cysts sa ovaries. However, yung growth na yan or yung tumors na yan ay isolated dyan sa ovaries lang. Hindi mo siya makikita pa sa ibang part ng katawan mo. Walang presence sa ibang organs. Okay? So yun yung ibig sabihin ng do not invade or metastasize. Okay? It is only found in one specific organ. Kabaligtaran naman ang mga malignant tumors. Okay? Malignant tumors are more aggressive. Ibig sabihin, they are fast replicating or fastly or quickly dividing, sorry. They're quickly dividing. Kaya mas mabilis itong tumubo. Okay? Parang within months pa lang, makikita mo na meron na agad malaking tumor kay pasyente. Okay? And if tinignan nyo yan under the microscope, you'll see that they are poorly organized and often undifferentiated. So meron akong picture na pinrovide dito, even though medyo mahirap siyang, medyo malabo. Or I don't know kung malinaw para sa inyo. But yung, this is the tumor grading. Hindi naman natin ito pag-aaralan na right now. But itong grade 1, okay, this pertains to a still benign tumor. So makita niyo mga cells dito ay still well differentiated. Okay? So squamous sa taas and then sa baba, mga normal na cells. Pero pagdating natin or as we progress, makita nyo na ayan, yung squamous, nagkikaiba na ng shape. Sa grade 3 at sa grade 4, nagkakaroon na yun ng changes within the nucleus and the cytoplasm. So, pag sinabi nyo undifferentiated, they're not similar to normal tissue. They don't look like normal healthy cells or normal healthy tissue if you compare them to a normal tissue. Okay? So, ayan yan. Mga pathologists naman po ang nagbabasa niyan. Hindi na natin role as medtechs na magbasa or mag-grade ng tumors. Diba? May mga tumor grading, may mga systems in place in staging cancers. Ang gumagawa nun ay mga pathologists. Okay, ang role lang natin is gumawa ng mga slides. Doon yung ilalagay yung tissues. Pag nag-histopath kayo, aralin nyo yan. The malignant tumors are also not encapsulated. Makita nyo dito sa picture, ayan, para siyang sumabog or nawala or nakalabas sila from their capsule. So this will enable the cells, the malignant cells, to capable of metastasis. Ito yung lalabas na sila from the organ of origin. Sabi natin kanina, example, nasa ovaries lang yung growth, biglang nag-metastasize. Okay? Biglang napunta sa lungs, pwede napunta sa liver, diba? So naligaw sila. Or basta napunta sila sa bloodstream, napunta sa lymph nodes, and then kakalat yan sa mga organs. So pag sinabi natin malignant, tandaan nyo po, metastasis is observed. Okay? So kalat na po yung ano tawag natin doon? Kalat na yung malignant cell or kalat na yung tumors. Okay? So pag sinabi natin tumors, hindi po ibig sabihin nun ay cancerous na siya. Okay? Or cancer na yun agad. Ang benign is just growth. Pag sinabi niyo malignant tumors, cancer na talaga to. Ito na yung cancer na tinutukoy natin. Okay? Now, why do cancers happen? Oh, may napindot ako. And why do cancers happen? Now, cancer, same with other diseases, uh, is a multifactorial, okay? Multifactorial incident. Ibig sabihin nun, we need a couple or a multiple, we need multiple factors para mag-develop yan. Okay? And typically, it is caused by accumulation of genetic mutations. Okay? Ano yung mga possible causes ng genetic mutation? They could be due to chemical carcinogens. Example na nakalagay dyan ay from smoking. So yung pagyoyosi, paninigarilyo, that is carcinogenic. Exposure to asbestos. Fortunately, right now, wala naman na gumagamit ng asbestos sa paggawa ng mga bahay. Pwede rin exposure sa smoke na galing sa kotse. If you are consistently na exposed sa usok, sa sasakyan, o let's say, nagtatrabaho ka sa kalsada, street sweepers, we are more prone to developing cancers. Okay, lung cancer particularly. Then radiation, ayan, radiation in the form of gamma radiation, UV radiation, or ionizing radiation. So, malaki din po ang chance na mag-develop ka ng cancer if you are always exposed sa radiation. Like for example, working in nuclear medicine. Okay? And then, last is, we also have oncogenic viruses. So, may mga viruses like Epstein-Barr virus that usually inaatake kasi nila yung mga lymphocytes natin. So, may mga viruses na pwedeng mag-cause ng cancer by attacking our own immune system. Okay? Ayan. So, combination po ang development ng cancer is due to a combination of different factors. Okay? Hindi lang po isa yan. But may mga predominant. May mga predominant among those factors. Particularly kapag lung cancer, di ba? Alam natin attributed yan sa inyong pag-yosi or if you're exposed to mga smoke sa kotse. Okay? Now, ano yung mga genes involved? Genes involved uh, in carcinogenesis. Actually, genes na involved in preventing cancers muna. Okay? In preventing cancers. So we have proto-oncogenes and we have tumor suppressor genes. Pag sinabi natin proto-oncogenes, they normally promote cell growth and proliferation. That is normal. Dapat normally, yung mga cells natin, if they are damaged, mapapalitan yan dapat. Or if kailangan natin ng panibagong cells, kailangan mag-grow sila ulit and magparami. Okay, so that is normal. We also have tumor suppressor genes. So these genes restrain cell division. If there are enough cells already, kailangan mag-stop na yung cell division. And also, they are capable of detecting DNA damage and then letting them undergo repair. Okay? Now, if we have mutations sa proto-oncogenes, so magiging oncogenes na sila, and we have mutations din sa tumor suppressor genes, yan, karoon ng mutation sa kanila. Okay, ano ba yung mga causes ng mutations? Balikan nyo lang itong tatlo. They will cause proliferation or over-proliferation and overgrowth of tissues or ng cells. Okay, sorry. So, yung makita nyo yung mga pulang cell, those are cancer cells. Those are tumor cells that are uncontrollably undergoing proliferation. Okay? Tandaan if meron kang mutation sa dalawang genes na yan. Okay? Okay. Ito medyo marami. So, ipapaubaya ko na sa inyo to. Pero tandaan nyo na lang yung mga types ng tumor antigens. Okay? Especially itong una, si MTAs, mutation-derived tumor antigens. So pag narinig nyo na yan ha, MTAs, nasa pangalan niya naman, mutation-derived. So if you have a mutation in the proto and the tumor suppressor genes, ayan, magkakaroon ka ng proliferation nga ng mga tumor cells. So yung mga antigens na ito, tandaan ha, these antigens are not found in normal cells. Makikita nyo lang po sila sa tumor cells. Okay. Alam naman natin na mga tumor antigens dapat makikita niyo sa mga tumor cells lang. Hindi po. May mga antigens po tayo na pwede natin makita in both normal tsaka cancer cells. Okay? Yung mga iba examples dyan, makikita niyo yan sa normal tissue, sa normal cells nyo. But si MPAs, these antigens are only found sa tumor cells. They are not found in healthy cells. Example natin, si BCR-ABL, seen in chronic, correct me if I'm wrong, chronic myelocytic leukemia. Basta leukemia yan, chronic something leukemia. Okay? So example yan ng MTAs. May iba pa kayong term na pwedeng gamitin for MTAs? I just forgot. I think that's neoantigens. Viral tumor antigens, of course, associated sa virus. Cancer testis antigens, normally expressed sa testes or sa mga uh, reproductive organs. Differentiation antigens, tandaan nyo to, they are expressed on immature cells. Makikita nyo sila again on immature cells. Ano yung mga example ng immature cells? Sina pre-B cell, pro-B cells. Okay? Those are what you call immature cells. Ano yung mga specific antigens na yun? Tandaan nyo to si CD10. Alala ko dito question to sa board exam before. Ayan, si CD10 is an antigen, a CD marker found on pre-B cell. If marami yan, magkaroon ka ng problem dyan kay CD10, and dumami sila, it can lead to what you call common acute lymphoblastic leukemia. Okay? Yun yung tawag doon. Sa kala na yan. Yun yung recall question dyan. CD10 antigen is associated kay kala. Pre-B-cell yan. And then, oncofetal embryonic antigens. Madali na lang yan kasi nasa pangalan niya na fetal embryonic antigens. They are expressed in high concentrations during fetal development. Pero once na kayo ay tumatanda na or matanda na, they are down-regulated. Okay? They are silenced in adults. So, dapat kapag matanda ka na, wala ka na nitong mga antigens na to. Pero kapag ikaw ay may cancer of that specific type, tataas ulit yung concentration nila. Okay, so tandaan nyo sina alpha-fetoprotein, prostatic specific antigen, and CCTA, carcinoembryonic antigens. And then may isa pa dyan na hindi ko na nilagay, si HCG. Okay, tandaan nyo si HCG. HCG is also an oncofetal antigen. Ayan. And then last is, ano pa ba? Ito, overexpressed antigens. They are found on normal cells. Okay, tandaan, overexpressed. They are found on normal cells. But if the cells become malignant, doon sila tumataas in concentration. Okay? Doon sila tumataas in concentration. Example, HER2. Okay, as women, meron po tayong HER2. But normal concentration lang, no, mababa lang yung concentration. Pero if we develop or we are at risk of breast cancer, let's say you inherited a gene associated with HER2, kung saan tataas yung concentration niya, syempre magkakaroon ka ng breast cancer. Okay? So yun na lang ha. Medyo marami na. And then, pakikabisado po itong table na to. Tandaan nyo kung ano yung mga tumor markers and what cancers are associated if they are detected in high concentration sa inyong serum or sa inyong dugo. Okay? For example, si AFP, this is an oncofetal antigen. Ano yung mga cancers associated sa kanya? So, germ cell cancer, for example, and liver carcinoma. O si CA125, ovarian adenocarcinoma. Okay? But take note that these tumor markers are not used in isolation. Hindi niyo po pwedeng sabihin na kapag mataas si AFP ay automatic na liver cancer yan or germ cell cancer. Some of these tumor markers are not even used for diagnosis. Ginagamit sila pwede in monitoring, in as a prognostic marker. Some of them can be used, of course, as a diagnostic marker. Okay? But again, hindi nyo pwede silang gamitin in isolation. Kailangan check nyo din yung ibang, ano ba tawag natin doon? Ibang markers pa, yun na lang. Iba pang markers that can also be associated with that cancer. Okay? But some of them, especially, ayan si HER2, Yan, si HER2, pwede nyo gamitin to as a diagnostic marker, pwede nyo gamitin as prognostic and for monitoring. Ayan, para malaman nyo if pwede bang mag-recur yung cancer, pwede bang bumalik yung cancer kay patient once na alam na natin na sa simula, ay magaling na talaga siya, nagamot na siya ng chemotherapy, pwede nyo gamitin to as monitoring. Okay? I-measure niya sa dugo niya para malaman nyo if magkakaroon ng recurrence ng cancer. Anyways, so tandaan niyo lahat. Oops, sorry. Tandaan niyo to lahat. And then, ito interactions between the immune system and tumor. So meron kayong mga immune defenses in place. It could be innate or adaptive defenses. So sa innate, automatic na yan ha. Tandaan nyo lang, nasa pangalan naman niya, natural. So natural killer cells. Tandaan niyo sa kanya, class 1 MHC. Okay, binanggit ko na yan kanina. The natural killer cells, um, they interact with cells based on the presence or absence of class 1 MHC. Tandaan yan, kapag ang cell ay walang class 1 MHC, atakihin niya yun, papatayin niya yun. Pero kapag yung cell ay merong class 1 MHC, wala siyang gagawin doon. Okay? Natandaan niyo yung marker na ginagamit. Or sorry, not marker. Mas maganda yung term na receptor na lang. Guys, pakitandaan po itong receptor na to. Si CD16 receptor. This is an identifying receptor or identifying marker and also a receptor na ginagamit ng ating natural killer cells to target those cells na walang class 1 MHC. Ang mga cancer cells po, okay, since they are cancer cells, mga abnormal cells yan, they will produce abnormal class 1 MHC. They will produce damaged class 1 MHC. Nakikita yan ng NT cells. Bakit niya nakikita yun? Paano niya nare-recognize na may problema tong cell na to? Paano niya masasabing may cancer cell? It's because of CD16. Okay? Tandaan nyo nga po sa kanya ito, CD16, i-highlight din niya sa kanya. ADCC, Antibody-Dependent Cell Cytotoxicity. Paki-highlight po yan sa inyong libro or sulat nyo na lang sa inyong notes. Very important po ito. CD16, yan yung gagamitin niya. O for example, meron kang cancer cell dito. Ayan. Drawing natin siya in color red. Okay? So this is a cancer cell. Ito sa loob yung kanyang nucleus. Okay? So sira na siya. So this cell will express abnormal MHC. Ayan, may problema yung MHC niya. Okay? I don't know if nakikita niyo yung drawing ko. Mare-recognize po yan ng immune system natin. So magpapadala yan ng mga antibodies. Okay? Yun muna. Papadala muna tayo ng antibodies that will target, that will attach to that MHC. And then, nilalapit na po tayong mga natural killer cells. Ayan, lalapit yung natural killer cells. Anong gagawin niya? Yung CD16 ni natural killer cells ay kakabitan niya itong antibody na to. Ayan. Yan yung tinatawag nating antibody-dependent cell cytotoxicity. Once the NK cell binds to that antibody, patay na yung cancer cell. Okay? Wala na magagawa si cancer cell doon. Okay? Next, also have the macrophages. Automatic na yan ha. Pag macrophages kasama yan sa innate immunity, kaya yan pumatay ng tumor cells dahil malaki rin itong macrophage na to. But not in a sense na katulad ng natural killer cells. Okay? Not in a way or mechanism ng natural killer cell. And then adaptive defenses, basta sina lymphocytes po ito. Okay? Basta mga lymphocytes nakita nyo, adaptive defense yan agad. Okay? So cytotoxic T cell, siya may pinaka-important na role in our defense against tumors. Tandaan, si cytotoxic or the CD8 positive T cell, si class 1 ang important. Lahat ng cancer cells nyo will have abnormal class 1. Tandaan po yan. Helper T cell, meron din siyang role, and of course, antibodies through the ADCC. Okay, so I hope na nasundan niyo po yung mga pinagsasabi ko dahil medyo marami. Oh no, meron pa isa. Tumor immunology, last part na po ito, immunoediting. This is, I think, last na nga talaga. Shoot, hindi pa. Anyway, sige. Ano meron kay immunoediting? Banggitin lang natin ng saglit. Immunoediting describes how our immune system interacts with tumor cells over time. Um, Nabanggit na nga natin na meron tayong mga immune defenses against tumors, against cancer cells. You have innate and adaptive defenses. Pero bakit pa rin nagde-develop ang cancer? Bakit ang isang tao ay nagde-develop pa rin ng cancer? Ano naging problema sa immune system natin? Okay? Ang nangyayari is, ayan, merong changes in the genetics and characteristic of the tumor cells that will allow them to survive despite the host's immune responses. So meron kayong tatlong stage dito sa immunoediting natin. Tandaan, pag sinabing immunoediting, nagbabago or nag-a-adapt ang tumor cells. Binabago niya ang kanyang genetics. So paano yun? Number one, elimination. Okay, pag sinabi niyo elimination, most of the cancer cells ay napapatay na po ng mga not CD, sabihin na lang nating cytotoxic T cells, mga natural killer cells, macrophages. Kaya nilang patayin yung mga cancer cells, most of them. Okay? So many cancers here are stopped and they never become clinically evident. Hindi nyo nakita. Okay? Hindi siya nagiging visible. However, hindi nga po lahat napapatay. Sabi ko kanina, most lang. Most ng cancer cells. So if some of them resist yung immune response ng katawan ng host, some of them will survive the elimination. Magpuproceed tayo sa equilibrium na tinatawag. So in equilibrium, this is the longest and most important phase of immunoediting. Okay? So, immune system natin, they try to control the surviving cancer cells. Kasi nga hindi na nila kayang i-eliminate. So, what the immune system does is nag-watch over lang sila. Minomonitor nila yung mga cancer cells. They still try to monitor, they still try to attack ito mga cancer cells na to. And yung constant na immune pressure na ina-exert na mga ng mga immune cells natin against the cancer cells will force the tumor cells to slowly evolve. And of course, during that evolution process, they will accumulate mutations. Okay? Nagtatry yung mga tumor cells na mag-survive para mga bacteria yan. Pag gusto nilang mag-survive, kailangan nilang mag-mutate. Diba? And even mga viruses, tinatry nilang mag-mutate. And yung mutations na yan, mag-accumulate sila. Okay? And then they will confer immune resistance in the end. Parang antibiotic resistance, di ba? Pag palagi uminom ng antibiotics, yan, ito yung patay, ay magko-confer yan ng antibiotic resistance. So, ganun din po ang nangyayari sa cancer cells. Okay? Kaya kapag meron kang constant exposure, palagi kang nagsisigarilyo, edi palagi ding active yung immune system mo. And then si cancer cell, active din yan sa paggawa ng mutation. Okay? So, ayan. So, tandaan si equilibrium. This is the most important stage of immunoediting. Yung sarili nating immune system, they also contribute to development of the cancer. Okay? And then last is escape. So, itong tumor nga na to, si cancer, nag-evolve na. So, syempre, kaya niya na din maka-escape. Okay? Kaya niya nang ma-escape, ma-evade yung ating immune system. They will now, they are not controllable na. Okay? So, ito yung part na clinically evident, clinically detectable na yung cancer. Okay? Detectable na yung cancer. So, ito na yung kaya niya siya ma-diagnose using yung mga tumor antigens natin. Okay? So, please memorize itong si immunoediting. Then last is, last na talaga to is where? Laboratory detection of tumors. So, meron lang naman tayong 4. Nasa name na din nila. Kasi nasa name na lang nila kung ano yung principle. So, morphologic exam, kukuha ka ng tissue sa pasyente. Kung meron siyang tumor dito sa organ na to, edi kuhanin natin, ilagay natin sa slide. And then titignan ni pathologist under the microscope. Immunohistochemistry, paki-highlight, uses labeled antibodies. Yun lang yung kailangan yung tandaan sa kanya. Uses labeled antibodies to detect tumor antigens in tissues. Okay? Yun lang po yun. Immunohistochemistry. Dissect nyo lang yung word. Immunoassays naman, um, ito kaya pinapakabisado ko sa inyo yung mga tumor markers, like CA125. Yun yung point natin in, yun yung ginagawa niyo in immunoassays. Titignan nyo kung ano mataas na tumor antigens. And kung mataas yun, ay ibig sabihin, meron siyang cancer. Or pwede namang nag-recur yung cancer. And then lastly, molecular diagnostics. Basta tandaan nyo lang po sa kanya, gumagamit tayo dito ng mga PCR, ng FISH, and primarily, this is used to identify the specific type of mutation. Ayan, kaya may example dyan si BCR, ABL, si HER2, sabi ko sa inyo si HER2, in normal women, normal healthy women, HER2 is not present. Kaya hindi nagde-develop ng breast cancer. Parang si Angelina Jolie yata yun. Alam ko meron siyang HER2 gene. So, at risk siya na mag-develop ng bone tuloy, ng breast cancer. Kaya nagpatanggal na siya ng breast. Ayun. Sige, next. Question and answer. Ito na yung favorite part nyo. Number 1. Which of the following is an example of tumor-specific antigen? Bibilis, di ba? Okay na yung mabilis. Sige. Number 1 is letter A. Yes, very good. BCR, ABL, fusion protein. Yes. Si MPAs. Example of an MPA. The rest is, alamin nyo kung anong type sila ng antigen. So, sino yung nauna? Baza. Baza. Number 2, which of the following best summarizes the concept of tumor development through immunoediting? O, yan, lumabas na naman si immunoediting. Anong sagot nyo? 2, letter B. Siya kasi may pinakamahaba dito. Tumor cells that can escape the immune system have a growth advantage over tumor cells that are destroyed during immunosurveillance. Ayan. Basta tandaan nyo rin yung mga steps. Nauna si Villanueva. Villanueva, thank you. Oh, wala pa. May sagot na agad. Di ko pa nga nalilipat eh. Oh, eliminate natin yung mga sumagot na yan. Oh, next. Number 3. I think si Gomez yun. Gomez, makukuha mo kung tama to. Which of the following best characterizes malignant tumors? Malignant tumors, ayan, tandaan nyo sa kanya yung word na metastasize. So, Gomez. Okay, metastasize. And wait na, wala pa guys. Hindi ko pa masyado mabibilis eh. Okay, si Cueto. Which serum tumor marker is is commonly elevated in hepatocellular carcinoma? Ayan, yun yung pinakauna dun sa table. So this is AFP. Yes, very good. Alpha fetoprotein. Oh, number 5, paunahan. Innate immune responses thought to be involved in defense against tumors include, wait, ito medyo nagwa-vary yung mga sagot nila. Meron B, may A. Ano tamang sagot? Includes, tandaan na innate ang nakalagay. So pag innate, tandaan nyo, NK cell. So letter A. Ayan, si Gomez ulit. Gomez. Hindi niyo po pwedeng include si natural killer cell. Sorry, si MHC, restricted T cell, mediated destruction, sa adaptive, as innate. Adaptive to, di ba? Same with ADCC. Although ADCC is involved rin sa both innate at adaptive. But ADCC mainly sa adaptive to. Okay, so only letter A. Take note ha. Babalikan nyo yung sa midterm nyo. Number 6, CAR T cell. Okay, Garcia. Nasagot niya. Letter C, tingnan natin. CAR T-cell. Okay. So, CAR, chimeric antigen receptor T-cell. Yes, this is genetically engineered T-cells that recognizes tumors independently of MHC. So, tandaan niyo rin pala, hindi ko na siya sinama dito sa ating discussion. Pakitandaan yung mga immunotherapy. Okay, pakibalikan, sorry. Included din po yan sa inyong exam. So, nandun naman yan sa blueprint. Tandaan yung mga immunotherapy natin na ginagamit. So, meron tayong active, passive, meron tayong adoptive immunotherapy. So, balikan nyo yan, ha? Sinasabi ko na sa inyo, included yan sa exam nyo. And last, number 7. Which gene normally prevents excessive cell division by repairing damaged DNA. Ando na yan specifically dun sa slide na yun. Sorry, sino na una? Okay, huwag na muna si Gomez kasi parang two in one. Kakatapos lang niya sa six, sa isang item. Alicia Garcia. Villanueva na lang muna. Villanueva, number 7. Sige. So, yun na yung 1 point. So, tumor suppressor gene. Okay, so repairing damage DNA. Ma'am, pwedeng si ano na lang muna, si Villanueva po, kasi nakakarami na si Gomez. So, bigyan naman muna natin ng chance yung iba, ha? Sorry na. Thank you, thank you. May chance, sorry, meron pa. Question number 8 pala. Ang dami to. Number 8. Muna si Miss Gomez. O, ligutan. Siya na lang muna. So, Miss Gomez, skip kita. Sa mga susunod kita ulit i-consider. Ligutan. Number, ay, naulit lang, guys. Niloko nyo naman ako eh. Naulit lang eh. Wait, skip natin. Sige na nga, bigyan na natin ng point. Sige, ma'am, i-consider na natin yung pangalawang piece. Number 9, sige. Patient's tumor expresses abnormal fetal proteins that were previously silenced after birth. Okay, nakita nyo na yung fetal, o edi letter C. So, nauna si Julian. Julian. O Julian, baka Julian. Wala pang 10, wala pa. Number 10. Sabi sa inyo, hindi ko consider yung mga nangunguna na yan. Sino pa nauna? Nakita ko si Basil, nag-appear na agad yan. Yung mga hindi pa natawag. Sige, Yeso. Yeso, kuha mo si number 10. Ang bibilis nyo kasi mag-type, sabi ko sa inyo, hindi ko i-consider as correct kapag hindi ko pa nalilipat. Okay, Yeso, kuhanin mo na yung point for number 10. Ma'am Camille, siya na lang po ha. Or Jamila. Jamila Yeso. Okay, wala naman na question 11. Okay, sa susunod ulit may chance yung mga meron ng 2 points. Okay. Thank you po, ma'am. Number 10. Number 10? Autoimmunity. Pakitandaan dito kung ano yung, kasi marami kasi tayong autoimmunity, no? Hindi ko na in-include dito yung mga etiologic factors. Pero ipapa-reading assignment ko yan sa inyo, ha? So, balikan niyo yung recording nyo, or sorry, not recording, but yung notes nyo and handouts sa autoimmunity. Okay? Tandaan po kung ano yung mga etiologic factors, ano yung mga causes, bakit nagde-develop ang autoimmune diseases. Tandaan nyo yun. It's a mix of factors. Parang si cancer lang din, di ba? Hindi lang yan isa ang cause. Multifactorial din yan. So, for example, si lupus, ano ba yung nagko-contribute sa development niya? Okay, marami yan. Meron tayo mga environmental factors, hormonal influence sa mga babae, kaya primarily mga babae ang naapektuhan ng autoimmune diseases. What else? Genetics, ayan, very important yung genetics ha. So yung mga nakaka-inherit ng specific HLAs, HLA alleles, ito yung nakuha nila sa parents nila, they are more prone to develop autoimmune conditions. Okay? Now, merong isang HLA allele na merong strongest association with a specific disease. Ibig sabihin, kapag na-inherit mo tong allele na to, there is almost a guarantee na magde-develop ka ng specific disease na to. And I am referring to HLA-B27. Na ang tanong ko sa inyo, pwede nyo sagutan for 1 point, ano yung specific na disease associated with HLA-B27? O, ayan ha, wala kayong choices, hindi nyo ako mauunahan. Sige, pakisagot yan. Ano yung sakit na associated with HLA-B27? Na kapag na-inherit mo to, ay guarantee yan. Magde-develop ka na anong sakit. Ano na? 1 point for 1 point? Hindi po. Okay, ayun pala, sorry. Iba yung nakita ko. Tama. The answer is Centeno. Yes, very good. Centeno, you answered ankylosing spondylitis. So ankylosing spondylitis has or is associated with HLA-B27. So nandaan niyo yan, ha? May mga iba pa, syempre, hindi ko na yung dadaanan. So, paki-acknowledge na lang po, ma'am, si Miss Centeno. Thank you, thank you. Although, tandaan niyo din yung mga autoimmune diseases belonging to systemic disorders and organ-specific disorders. Then, itong table na to. Isang pangarami. Diba? Sobrang dami. Patulaking choice kung hindi kabisaduhin yan. Okay, actually, hindi ko na nga nilagay lahat. Kasi masyado siyang marami. But, it's up to you kung paano niyo po siya tatandaan. Okay? May isa pa akong question na i-ask. For SLE and other systemic disorders like rheumatoid arthritis, Sjogren's syndrome, dinedetect natin ang anti-nuclear antibodies sa serum. Diba? I-detect anti-nuclear antibodies sa serum. For lupus, ang pinaka-specific sa kanya is anti-dsDNA and anti-Smith. Now, ang question ko is, ano yung tests na ginagamit natin to detect or to identify those anti-nuclear antibodies in the serum? Anong test yung ginagamit nyo to identify these anti-nuclear antibodies in the serum? Sige, pakisagot po yan. For 1 point. Anong test? Dapat alam nyo kung anong test ginagamit natin to identify. Okay, very good. Maravillo. Yes, the answer is indirect immunofluorescence. Although yung sinagot mo po may nagsagot pero dinilit niya, that is still also correct. Anti-nuclear antibody test. Pero kailangan yung dagdagan yun. Lagalagay nyo, hindi ko na ako dinilit niya. Ayan. Lagyan nyo ng fluorescent sa unahan. Fluorescent anti-nuclear antibody test. Okay? Kasi kailangan natin maging specific lang. Okay? Fluorescent anti-nuclear antibody test. But yung principle behind the test is indirect immunofluorescence. Okay? So yun yung sagot doon. Sige, sagutan na natin. Ay, sorry. Hindi pindot ko. And question number 1, in Graves' disease, one of the main autoantibodies in Graves' disease is, yan, BAZA. Number 1, yes, it's letter C, anti-thyroid stimulating hormone receptor. Maglagay na lang ako ng, Ma'am Camille, naglalagay ako ng thumbs up kay Centeno, nag-answer na ankylosing spondylitis, and then Maravillo, and yan. Consider na rin natin si Manrique. Ayan. Naglagay ako ng thumbs up po para makonsider pa rin yan as 1 point po. So ano lang po yan, mga additional questions. So tama si Baza. Ayan. 1, letter C. Number 2, okay, sabi ko sa inyo, consider natin ulit si Ms. Gomez sa susunod na question. O last mo na muna to, ha? Question number 2, yes, the answer is letter A. All of the following may contribute to autoimmunity except ang tanong natin. Tandaan yan. Hindi siya kasama sa development. So tandaan nyo ano yung mga causes, ano yung mga factors. So clonal deletion is actually one that would prevent development. Okay, so kapag self-reactive, i-delete natin sila dapat. Okay, dinidelete natin yung mga self-reactive T cells. Number 3. Ayan, finally nauna na siya yung may maraming letters. Okay, dalusag. Dalusag, your answer is letter D. Yes, very good. Hashimoto's thyroiditis is observed with destruction of the thyroid gland because of the presence of antithyroglobulin. Very good. Sorry, si Miss Dalusag. Thumbs up natin. Sinatabunan. Number 4, anti-CCP antibodies is associated specifically with which autoimmune disease? So the answer, sorry, wait lang. Ang dami nyo. Garcia, ayan. Si Garcia medyo nakakarami na din to. Number 4 is letter A. Very good. Okay? Very good. Garcia for letter A, rheumatoid arthritis. O sige, another question. Aside from anti-CCP, ano pa yung isang auto-antibody na ginagamit natin to diagnose rheumatoid arthritis? Okay, pakisagot nga po. Okay, anong auto-antibody pa yon? Hindi nyo kasi masu-search agad kaya medyo mabagal. Yes, very good. It's the rheumatoid factor. Or a factor, medyo redundant. So F stands for factor. Okay? Rheumatoid factor is an antibody. Typically, it is IgM. Tandaan nyo ha? Rheumatoid factor is typically an IgM antibody. So, Ma'am Camille, paad na lang po si Maravillo. Is an IgM that attacks or binds to the Fc portion of IgG. Hindi ko lang kung nakikita yung sinusulat ko, but this one. Tandaan ha, pag tinanong po kayo, rheumatoid arthritis is an antibody. Typically, it is an IgM that attacks the Fc portion of IgG. So, inatake niya yung sarili niyang antibody or kapamilya ng antibody. Okay? Okay, sige. Next tayo. Hypersensitivity. So, tandaan niyo tong table na to ha. Hindi ko na po ito i-discuss sa inyo. Please memorize nyo na lang po kung ano yung mga immune mechanisms. This one is very, very important. Yung immune mechanism. Kasi once na alam nyo na yung immune mechanism, kabisado nyo na lahat ng nandiyan sa table. Kabisado nyo na yung antibodies involved, antigens involved, ano yung may complement involvement ba, ano yung mga examples. Tandaan nyo yan, ha? Tandaan yung immune mechanisms. Aralin ko yun sa book nyo. Okay, so proceed agad tayo sa question and answer. Okay. May mga nauna na agad. Parang hindi ko pa nga ata nalilipat. Okay, meron na si Maravillo tsaka si Julian. Di ba? Bigyan natin yung si Mercado. Yan. Mercado, your answer is, tingnan natin ko tama, letter C, bronchial asthma. Yes, it is type 1 hypersensitivity. Asthma is a form of allergy. So letter C, mast cell degranulation. Very good. Letter C. So, Christian Mercado. Question number 2. Red itchy papules on her wrist 2 days after wearing a new bracelets. So what is the immune response? Yes, very good. Letter D, ligutan. Letter D, an inflammatory response, blah, 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 by T cells. Sandaan, anong tawag natin sa condition kaya na to? Ano, red itchy papules, tapos ang cause ay nagsuot ng bagong bracelets. Anong tawag nyo sa condition na yan? Lagyan ko ng thumbs up si Liputan. And ang puha, si Mercado para makita ni Ma'am. Yes, very good. Mr. Cueto. Nyron. Yes, it is called contact dermatitis. Tandaan nyo yan ha, kapag nakita po na nagkaroon ng exposure or something about sa skin exposure to something na sinusuot, it could be gloves, it could be necklaces, bracelets, anything. Basta it comes into contact with your skin and then days after, nag-develop ka ng rashes. That is contact dermatitis. Okay? Okay, next. Question number 3. What is the immune phenomenon associated with Arthur's reaction? So this is type 3 hypersensitivity. So kung type 3 hypersensitivity to, the answer should be letter C. Ang nauna ay Julian or Julian. Medyo marami na daw kasing points si Manrique. So hindi niya na kailangan. Julian. So sorry. Ano ko ulit? Thumbs react ko lang. Ayun pala, naka-heart. And number 4, last question. So, all of the following are associated with type 1 except. Tanong is except. Sagot ng iba. For letter. Ayan. So, nauna si Gomez. Sabi ko, hindi ko na muna po i-accept si Miss Gomez. Kasi medyo Medyo marami ka ng points. Si Basa na lang. Basa. Okay, ano sagot dito? Letter B. Sorry, na-distract ako. Number 4 is letter B. Yes. Activation of complement will only happen if there is involvement of IgM or IgG. Okay? So type 1 kasi Ig ito. So wala tong involvement. Tandaan. Okay? So sino yan? Si Basa. Okay. Miss Basa. Thank you, thank you. Ma'am, hindi po muna si Gomez kasi medyo nakakarami na po siya sa points. So I think lagpas 3 points na ata siya. Oh, wait lang, wala pa. Si Miss Gomez na lang. Sorry, Miss Basa po. Okay? Janica. Okay, next, number 5. Wala pa yung iba, may nagsagot na agad. Ang galing natin si Cardines. So, hindi yan qualified. Batahan natin, wag na muna si Julian or Julian, wag na rin muna si Gomez. Pingol or Pingol? Pingol. And Vincent Pingol. So number 5, ang sagot niya is A. Yes, very good. Type 2 involves cellular antigens. Okay, and then kapag type 3, soluble antigens. Okay, Pingol muna. Okay, next, pag tinatanong ko kayo ng hindi multiple choice ha, tapos di ang tagal niyo sumagot. Teka, may mga naglipat agad, ay sumagot agad. Ah, wag na siguro. Miss Gomez, so paano mo na sumagot? Ang dami mo ng points. Sanggalang. Ayan. Sanggalang. Nico Sanggalang. Your answer is letter A. Autoantibodies bind to and block the acetylcholine receptors. Baka kayang bibilis yung magsagot dito sa question and answers natin. Tapos pagdating natin sa final exam ha, ang ubos yung 3 oras. Number 6, letter A. Tama po. Yan. Acetylcholine receptors antibody. Yun, okay. Next number, ano na tayo? Immunodeficiencies. Okay. So, discussion muna ulit. Magpahinga muna kayo pagta-type nyo. Okay. Please pakitandaan, before this one, hindi ko na siya na-include, primary versus secondary immunodeficiencies. Okay? Pinagkaiba ng primary from secondary is si primary immunodeficiencies, this is typically caused by genetic mutations. So, inherited ang primary immunodeficiencies. And almost all, or actually lahat na i-discuss sa chapter na to is primary immunodeficiency. Yung secondary immunodeficiency is acquired. So, makukuha nyo yan. It can be either from the environment, okay, or pwede namang sexually transmitted. O, ayun na, may clue na ako. Can you give me one example of a secondary immunodeficiency? Yes, very good. 1 point for yes. So HIV. Okay. Now primarily, sorry, not primarily. Technically, uh, it should be AIDS. Okay, it should be AIDS. Kasi pag sinabi mong HIV, it's just, is it the virus or yung infection lang? Okay, kasi sa HIV, kailangan muna niyan maging AIDS para makakita ka na immune suppression. Okay, so the better answer would be AIDS, but you'll consider your answer HIV. Okay, so the HIV or AIDS is secondary immunodeficiency. Okay, another example would be cancer. Okay, if you have cancer, leukemia, that is considered as secondary immunodeficiency. Okay? Nasusundan po ba ako ha? Ayan, thank you for giving your answer. So, kapag tinanong ko kayo, 1 point din yan. Parang medyo mabagal sumagot kasi nag-iisip pa. But, ayan. And then, ang mga immunodeficiencies po natin, based on this, makikita nyo nakaseparate sila sa tatlo. Kasi immunodeficiencies can be broadly classified based on which arm of the immune system is affected. So, pwede kasing maapektuhan ang mga B cells, pwede maapektuhan sina T cells, or pwede namang maapektuhan yung mga phagocytes nyo, like sina neutrophils. So, each type of defect will lead to a characteristic pattern of infection. So pag sinabi natin, for example, na meron kang defect in your B cells, affected po ang antibody production or yung humoral-mediated or antibody-mediated immunity. And na makikita mo dyan, primarily na problem kay patient is if they don't have antibodies, they don't have normal concentration of antibodies in their blood, magkakaroon sila ng problem with fighting bacteria, particularly pyogenic bacteria. Pyogenic, ibig sabihin nagkukos ng pus, ng nana. So tandaan niyo yan ha, pag mga antibody-mediated immunity, yung may problem, may defect, particularly your B cells, yan ang problem nyo. Okay? Si patient palaging merong pyogenic bacterial infection. Pag T-cell mediated, so cell-mediated immunity naman, uh, very important ang T-cells in controlling intracellular pathogens. So if you have a defective T-cell or in any part ng T-cell differentiation or maturation, ayan ang issue mo. Mga intracellular pathogens. Ano ba yung mga intracellular pathogens? Viruses, fungi, intracellular bacteria. Okay? So palagi ka ma-infect ng mga viruses particularly. And lastly, mga phagocytes like your neutrophils and macrophages. Yan yung mga first responders nyo, di ba? Pag may bacteria, yan yung unang kakain, yan yung unang lalapit. And then, if they are defective, the patient will experience recurrent pyogenic infection. Okay? Recurrent pyogenic bacterial infection, and particularly those of the skin. Makikita nyo sa balat. So, sina Staphylococcus aureus, yung mga streptococcus nyo, sina strep viridans. So, yan sila. And immunodeficiency states range from quite mild to lethal. So later on, iisa-isahin natin yan pero hindi na ako magtatagal. So sana na-picturean nyo na to or even na-screenshot nyo na, wala namang problem sa akin. This is just a summary of the immune deficiencies. Naka-table na po siya. And makikita nyo rin naman ito sa inyong libro. So tandaan nyo kung ano yung mga immunodeficiencies that affects the B cells, the T cells, and the neutrophils. So ito yung mga naapektuhan ang mga B cells. So meron kang deficiency in antibodies. So you have transient agammaglobulinemia, selective IgA, which is the most common form of congenital immunodeficiency, Bruton's. So tandaan niyo to si Bruton's. So it is X-linked. So ang sex na naapektuhan primarily are boys, mga batang lalaki, mga infants. Infancy pa lang, nakikita mo na agad yung clinical manifestations. A common variable, ayan, decreased antibody, but there is normal B cell count, isolated IgG, and CD154. May mga kulang pa dyan, so pwedeng paki-add na lang po. Ang kulang ko dito is, if I'm not mistaken, si CD40. Pakibalikan ko ito, si CD40 L deficiency. Yan, CD40L deficiency. So, associated rin yan with B cells. So, pakibalikan ko ito, please. Yan. Sama niyo siya sa aralin. Now, puntahan natin yung combined immunodeficiency. So, as the name implies, both the B cells and T cells are affected. And mas malala to. Okay? Kaya makikita nyo dyan yung presentation nila. Ayan, during infancy period pa lang, affected na si patient. Meron na agad recurrent infections. Actually, ito pala si CD40, oh. Sorry. Si CD40 pala is, sorry ha, burahin natin to dito. My bad. CD40 is included sa combined. Okay, combined. Nasabi ko lang na nasa B cell siya kasi primarily may problem ka with antibody production. Okay? So, ayan pala. CD40, both B cells and T cells are affected, but the main deficiency is si antibodies. Okay? Si antibodies. Severe combined is the most severe form of immunodeficiency. Pinatawag din po natin itong bubble boy disease. Ako may movie yan, sinabi ng mga students. May movie pala about SCID. So hanapin nyo yan kung gusto yung panoorin, pero wag muna ngayong exam week nyo. So SCID is the most severe form because both T cells and B cells are defective. Now, pakibalikan po sa libro itong mga defective na genes. So, meron kayong EDA, RAG1 and RAG2, tsaka si JAK3. Tandaan niyo yung mga deficiencies na yan. Okay? Tandaan sila. Yan yung mga mutated genes that will cause deficiencies doon sa mga lymphocytes nyo. Pakibalikan po sila ha. For example, si JAK3, minsan na affected lang kasi ay either si T cell lang or si B cell. or pwedeng both, or pwedeng kasama rin si natural killer cells. So, bakibalikan na lang po iyan. Okay? Hindi ko na kasi siya sinama dito sa handout. And then, wag na si PNP. Hindi na yan mahalaga. Papunta tayo sa next. Combined immunodeficiencies with associated or syndromic features. So, ito pinakatandaan niyo sa kanya, si DiGeorge anomaly. Tandaan, si DiGeorge anomaly. Anong main defect dito? Yung patient or yung baby is hindi nagde-develop na maayos yung thymus niya. So, the thymocytes produced by the bone marrow will have nowhere to go to undergo maturation. So, hindi nagmamature properly yung mga T cells. Hanggang mga baby T cells lang meron po tayo. Okay? And also, tandaan nyo na lang na kapag may problem ka with T cells, magkakaroon ka din ng problem with your B cells. Okay? Kaya usually kapag mga T cell problems, T cell ang defect, affected rin po ang mga antibodies dyan. Okay? Katulad kay CD40L kanina. Anyways, tandaan nyo ha, the George anomaly, thymus, T cells. Okay? Anong presentation? Hypocalcemia. Okay? Bakit may hypocalcemia? Kasi yung organ responsible with regulating calcium levels in your blood is also underdeveloped. Tinatawag niyo yung parathyroid gland. Magkakadikit kasi yan sila. Si thymus, thyroid gland, and parathyroid, magkakadikit yan. Malapit sa leeg nyo. So kapag walang thymus, walang thyroid, wala ding parathyroid or undeveloped sila. Kung wala kang parathyroid, yung calcium mo hindi well regulated. So mababa. And also it can lead to cardiac defects and intellectual disabilities. O, tandaan niyo yung mga presentation pagdating kay DiGeorge anomaly kasi medyo merong kakaiba. Kaya tinawag dyan syndromic features. Wiskott-Aldrich, may mnemonics ako dyan, water. Ano yung water? Wiskott-Aldrich. Thrombocytopenia, eczema, or recurrent infections. Water, ulitin ko, Wiskott-Aldrich, thrombocytopenia, eczema, recurrent infections. Yun yung mnemonics nyo dyan. And then, skip na natin si ataxia. Next, Chediak Higashi, albinism, ayan, si hypopigmentation. O basta ito guys, mga phagocytic defect na. So, binibilisan ko na kasi 6:15 na. O, so, phagocytic defect, puro mga may C. Chediak, chronic, and si MPO, syempre walang C yan. Pero pinaka-important po dito is si CGD. Okay, CGD. Tandaan ko ano yung defective sa kanya, NADPH oxidase. Please, pakitandaan, NADPH oxidase. Okay? So, kayang ma-ingest, kaya ma-engulf yung bacteria nila neutrophils or ni macrophage, pero hindi nila kayang patayin. Hindi nila kayang i-digest because they don't have this enzyme system. Kailangan nila yan para mapatay si bacteria. And lastly, MPO deficiency, of course, lack of myeloperoxidase. Okay? Okay, question and answer, paunahan. Number 1. Oh, bibilis talaga. Garcia. Sana nakikinig din kayo sa lecture ko ha. Hindi nag-aabang lang kayo na ilipat ko. Number 1, yes. Garcia, the answer is, ayan, pag nakita nyo, lack of T cells, lack of a thymus, lack of T cells, the George syndrome agad. Letter A, very good. Garcia. I-thumbs up natin. Question number 2, BTK, Bruton's tyrosine kinase deficiency. Alin dyan yung correct na statement? Ano sagot nyo? Sino na una? Okay, the answer in question number 2 is letter B. Si heart reacts natin. Thumbs up natin, Maravillo. Lack of circulating CD19 positive B cells. So, ang problem nyo with Bruton's, aside from yung na-mention ko kanina, sa lalaki lang siya, hindi nagmamature na maayos yung mga B cells. Okay? Hindi nagmamature na maayos. Letter B, boy. Question number 3, B cell deficiency will most likely exhibit, yes, very good, increased bacterial infections. Centeno. Okay, Centeno. Increased bacterial infections. Question number 4, myeloperoxidase deficiency, so a defect in phagocyte function. Sino na una? Number 4, Principe. 4, letter D, yes, defective neutrophil function. And then, last, kayang-kaya ko to na in 10 minutes. Okay. Nag-rap na ako. Inom na ako ng tubig. Next, we'll discuss, ito pala, sa libro nyo, marami kasing immunoproliferative disorders. It includes leukemias, lymphomas, and of course, yung monoclonal gammopathies na tinatawag natin. Ang included lang po dito sa aking lecture and even sa exam nyo, it will only focus on monoclonal gammopathies. Leukemias and lymphomas are already covered ng inyong hematology. Okay? Kasi hema na yun. So, i-discuss lang natin ay itong mga plasma cell dyscrasias. Okay? Ano ba meron sa plasma cell dyscrasias? So, tandaan niyo po ha, ito yung mga list of diseases natin. Yan. Ang plasma cell dyscrasia, take note, pwede nyo rin pong tawagin itong monoclonal gammopathies. So, isa lang po yung tinutukoy ko pag sinabi kong plasma cell dyscrasia or monoclonal gammopathies. Ano ba meron sa kanila? So these are, of course, group of disorders, nasa pangalan na din nila, characterized by overproduction of a single clone of immunoglobulins. Okay, single clone of immunoglobulins. Kaya siya tinawag na monoclonal gammopathies. Single clone of immunoglobulins na pwede nating tawaging M-protein. Okay, tatawagin natin silang M-protein. Okay. Now, may inattach akong picture dito. This is a picture of a serum protein electrophoresis. Yung blue is the normal. Okay? So, normal yan. Familiar na kayo dyan sa clinical chemistry. But if you have these plasma cell dyscrasias, nagkakaroon tayo ng tinatawag nating M-spike. Okay? Meron tayong tinatawag na M-spike. Bakit siya tinawag na M-spike? Itong last part sa electrophoresis, the last band, this is the gamma band. Okay, this is the gamma band. So sa gamma band, dyan po makikita, or this pertains to the levels of antibodies, so the levels of immunoglobulins. If you have plasma cell dyscrasias, abnormally silang tumataas. Okay? So in multiple myeloma, makikita mo yan. In Waldenstrom, mataas din yan. Lahat sila mataas yung gamma band. Okay, kaya siya tinawag na monoclonal gammopathies. Mga sakit kung saan mataas yung gamma band sa electrophoresis and tinawag na monoclonal because of single clone of antibodies. Okay? So sana nakakasunod po tayo dyan, ha? Okay. And the spectrum of diseases associated in monoclonal gammopathies ranges from benign to malignant. Again, they range from benign to malignant. I-discuss ko po yan. So pag sinabi natin benign, of course, hindi pa to malaking issue. Okay? Hindi pa yung issue. So simulan natin kay MGUS. Tandaan si MGUS, this is still benign. Okay? So pre-malignant precursor of multiple myeloma. Hindi pa to cancerous. And since it is still benign, the patients are typically asymptomatic. They are stable in most cases and has a low rates for about 1% per year. So yung ibig sabihin yung paglala niyan every year, okay, is only 1%. But MGUS may of course become malignant in the future if hindi siya nagamot na maayos or depende sa pasyente yan. Okay? So ano yung mga feature? Ito yung mga kailangan nyo pong i-memorize, ha? Patandaan ko ito sa inyo. Tandaan yung mga features ng bawat monoclonal gammopathies. Kasi yan po yung magiging question sa exam nyo. Ganyan ang tanungan. Okay? So pag sinabi natin MGUS, take note of the M protein concentration. Ito yung M spike, di ba? There's less than 3 grams per deciliter only. Less than 3 GDL. Bone marrow plasma cell count is less than 10%. I'm sorry, I forgot to emphasize earlier na tinawag nga siyang plasma cell dyscrasias is because mayroon kang mga maraming mga cancerous or malignant plasma cells. In this case, MGUS, since hindi pa nga to cancerous, marami ka lang plasma cell count. Okay? Meron ka lang mga uh, higher than normal or borderline high kapag bone marrow plasma cell count in the case of MGUS. Tandaan to ha, less than 10%. Hindi pa naman siya ganun kataas. Okay? However, ay mga plasma cells na yan will gradually accumulate. Yung pinag-uusapan natin sa cancer kanina, they will gradually accumulate genetic mutations. Okay? And then ultimately, pwede sila maging malignant. But again, take note po dito, wala pang end organ damage. Kaya wala kang tinatawag na crab. Okay, wala pa tayo nung crab features. Can you please tell me ano yung meaning ng crab sa chat box? Ano yung tinutukoy nating crab? Paki-chat po sa chat box ano yung crab. Makikita mo lang tong crab if there is progression into multiple myeloma. So walang crab dito. Ano si crab? Natin sa ating ni Prinsipe. Medyo kulang, France, hanggang C lang. Kailangan yung buo. Okay, buong crab. So, yeah, Prinsipe, very good. Hypercalcemia, very good. Na you included, there is increase in calcium. Kasi nakalagay sa book niyo is just calcium. Oops. Ayan. So, there is hypercalcemia. Parang, di ba may ad? Parang na-disconnect ka. Anyways, hypercalcemia, renal failure, anemia, and bone lesions. Those features are not seen in MGUS. Okay? Tandaan yan. Yan yung features niya. Now, hindi ko na in-include dito yung susunod after MGUS. Kasi hindi naman po siya agad-agad magiging multiple myeloma. So, itatype ko dito sa chat box. Take note na lang po ito. So, MGUS will progress into what we call smoldering multiple myeloma. And then, magiging multiple myeloma. Ayan. Ayun yung pagkakasunod-sunod. So, if the MGUS progresses further, magiging smoldering siya. Okay, so in smoldering, hindi ko na kasi nalagay dito, but please look it up sa book po. And then, magiging multiple myeloma. Na ano ba meron kay multiple myeloma? This is the most common and most serious form of plasma cell dyscrasia. Ito na po talaga yung cancer. Okay? Cancer of mature plasma cells. Okay? Now, pag tinanong kayo, ano ba yung mga sinabi ko kanina M proteins, ano ba yan sila? Ang mga M proteins po, makikita mo yan again in multiple myeloma and other kina MGUS. Tandaan po, nagawa yan sa mga antibodies. Primarily, IgG. Pakitandaan ha, MGUS, sorry, ano ba yan? M protein ay typically made of IgG antibodies, mataas na IgG antibodies. But they can also be IgA. Okay? They can also be light chains, like your kappa chains and like kappa and lambda chains. Tandaan yan. Pag tinanong, saan gawa typically ang mga M proteins seen in multiple myeloma? IgG ang sasagot nyo. Okay? Bihira lang po tayo makakita ng mga M proteins made of IgM, IgD, IgE, or heavy chains. Ibang sakit na yan. Okay? Ibang sakit na po kapag ito yung nakita mo. Okay? Sina IgM, D, E, or heavy chains. Okay? Tandaan to, yung mga light chains produced by those cancerous plasma cells, if they accumulate, tinatawag natin silang Bence-Jones protein. Makikita natin yan in blood and in the urine. Particularly in the urine, kapag kayo po ay nag-AUBF next semester, madadaanan nyo yung Bence-Jones protein. They are detectable in the urine. Okay? Na ito po yung diagnostic criteria natin in multiple myeloma. So tandaan, gaano karaming plasma cells? More than 10% clonal plasma cells in the bone marrow. And then one or more of the following. So pwedeng yung crab na binanggit natin, tandaan nyo ha, if crab is present, that means there's end organ damage, particularly of the kidneys and the bones. Ayan, so sira na si kidney and then may lytic bone lesions. Ang hirap na siya yan dito sa x-ray kasi di ba tayo rad tech. And letter B, bone marrow plasma cells of 60% or greater than 60% in the absence of end organ damage. Serum free light chain ratio, tandaan ito, greater than 100. Okay? Then, focal lesions in MRI greater than 1%. So please guys ha, andyan na po sa PowerPoint ko yung mga kailangan nyo i-memorize. And then lastly, Waldenstrom. So Waldenstrom is different from multiple myeloma in a sense that in Waldenstrom, the M protein is typically made of IgM. Yun yung tatandaan nyo dito ha. Ito i-highlight ko si IgM. Kapag multiple myeloma, IgG. Pag Waldenstrom, kaya siya tinawag na macroglobulinemia is because the monoclonal proteins are typically those of the IgM class. Tandaan yan. Malalaki di ba ang mga IgM? Pentamer sila. That's why yung clinical manifestations is hyperviscosity syndrome. Sobrang dami mga malalaking IgM sa inyong serum, kaya ang lapot ng dugo. Okay? As in, malapot yung dugo ng pasyente. And this can cause problems in your eyes, kasi pwede silang pumunta sa mata mo, pwede silang pumunta sa legs, okay? Pwede rin mag-cause ng dizziness, ayan, retinal vein engorgement. So, tinatawag niyo yan overall as peripheral neuropathy. Tinatawag yan peripheral neuropathy. Okay? Basta peripheral o peripheral parts ng katawan nyo. And then it can also lead to enlargement of certain organs like your liver, hepatosplenomegaly, and spleen, and then lymphadenopathy. O, basta pag mga Waldenstrom, mga malalaki. Okay, kasi malaki si IgM, malapot ang dugo, may malaking liver and spleen, and lymphadenopathy. And of course, syempre, massive IgM spike. Okay? Anemia is also present. And ito yung tatandaan nyo, major difference from multiple myeloma. Wala siya no bone lesions. Tandaan, kay Waldenstrom, wala kang bone lesions. That is only seen in multiple myeloma. Ayan, ito yung difference. Lalagyan ko na siya ng star para kabisaduhin yung difference between Waldenstrom and multiple myeloma. Okay? Tandaan yung difference. Binanggit ko naman yung lahat. Okay, questions and answer. Bilis, Manrique. Yan, bumalik na siya. Sabi niya, papahinga lang siya. So question 1, question 1, the answer is letter, yes, letter D. Ayan, makikita niyo na dyan yung tinatawag nating crab features, although hindi nabanggit si calcium. Okay, so this is multiple myeloma. Multiple myeloma. Number 2, Baza. Okay, number 2, Baza, your answer is yes, all of the above. So, isa lang po yan ha, hindi ko na nabanggit earlier. M protein can also be called paraprotein. All of the above. Question number 3, Velasco. Velasco, your answer is letter A. That is true of Waldenstrom, monoclonal IgM production. Okay, tandaan pag narinig si hyperviscosity, kanino yung malapot na dugo? Waldenstrom. Okay? Question number 4, I believe this is the last slide. Sino kaya yung ano natin, final contestant? Si Garcia na naman. Wait lang, ang dami niya ng points. Huwag ka na muna. Ako 3 points ka na. Lagrosa. Bigyan naman natin siya kasi ito hindi pa siya nag-recite, if I'm not mistaken. Ayan, Miss Lagrosa. For letter C, tandaan, Bence-Jones proteins can also be seen in the urine, and they are made up of light chains. Tandaan, they are made up of light chains. And then, yes, that is the final slide na nga. Thank you for attending the final reinforcement po in, wait lang, tanggal natin yung share screen. Okay. Thank you for attending the final reinforcement in Immunocero. And I hope na natulungan kayo nito para makapag-prepare sa inyong final exam. Kasi final exam nyo po, please expect na mahirap siya. Okay, kasi nakita ko na yung exams nyo. Mahirap siya in a sense na kailangan talaga you have an understanding of the chapter, of the book Okay? So, yun ha, please, yung mga binanggit ko po sa inyo, itatak nyo yan sa isip nyo and then take into consideration when reviewing for Immuno. Okay, if you have any questions, i-message nyo lang po yung mga faculty in charge nyo or you can message me if you have any clarifications. Okay? And available naman ako palagi or I can reply as much as I can. Okay? Ayan. Thank you.